Agut Voch Raboisai. Lili Nishmasi Mimirosu versus Mordechai. Always, so we have a lot of guests here. I'm going to ask the guests again if they could come to the front. I can't start calling them out. Every guest in the house, please come here. Meanwhile, I'm going to read some emails. Let's go. Everybody, let's go. I know all the yeshiva guys, all the chassidisha guys. You get over here. Come, get over here. Everybody. What's going on here? Let's go. What is going on here? Let's go. Assalamu alaikum. Hi. I don't know if this is a good idea. What is going on? Come. Wow. Hey, Dad. Come, you come. Everybody, let's squeeze in. Now we're going to start over. Agud Voch Raboisai. All right. We're going to start from you. You ready? Nice and loud. What's your name? That wasn't loud enough. No, Chamal. Teach these guys how to do it. Let's scream it. What's your name? From Lakewood. You? Danny Friedman. Shalom Aleichem. You from? Five Towns. You? From Border Park. You? Ralph Bitterman from Toronto. Yeah. What's your name? Josh? Shalom Aleichem from? Bet Shemesh. You?
Eitan Burstein, Springfield, New Jersey.
Springfield, New Jersey. What's your name?
Heinach Schwingam.
Your name?
Yitzi Grossberg.
Shalom Aleichem. Nice to meet you. Brooklyn, New York.
Sterling Rose, North Woodmere.
With? What are these guys' names?
Danielle Rose.
What? Ravi Rose. And?
Danielle Rose.
No way! You're Rose also. Shalom Aleichem. From the
Eddie Goldschmidt.
From Manchester. Yishkoyach for the book. My favorite picture. A bunch of guys wearing MDY socks. Love it.
Walking down school, that's it.
What's that?
Walking down school, those guys.
Yeah, okay, good. It's worth it. Shalom Aleichem.
David Rose. Big, you know me, ready?
From where?
The guy starts Brooklyn Beis now.
Brooklyn Beis, David Rose. David,
that's it.
Okay, what's your name?
Mayor Raskus.
Shalom Aleichem. Neve Daniel, Shalom Aleichem. Your name?
Israel Keiakov.
From?
Kensington, Brooklyn.
No way! A landsman. Kensington, Shalom Aleichem. What's going on here? You guys could spread it out on Sundays and Mondays, only on Shalom Aleichem. What's your name? Azi? From Neve Daniel. Unbelievable. Shalom Aleichem. What's your name?
Judah Herschel from Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. You gonna be there when I'm there? February 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th.
I'll take him. Avi Herschel.
Shalom Aleichem. And you, Shalom Aleichem? From?
Harish.
Formerly
Atlanta.
Shalom Aleichem, Atlanta, Harish. 8 G's in the house. All right, Rabbi Sai, we can go back to your seats. Oh, Yosef Billyack, it's unbelievable. Gewaldige stuff here. We're not going to count, but Billyack and Haber, it might be a record. Wow. Whew. Rabbi Sai, I want to show you something unbelievable. The very, very first Merkaz Daf Yomi art book. Anybody coming to the Siyum in Miami is going to get one, and anybody coming to the Siyum in Ramat Bet Shemesh is going to get one. Other cities might have to print it themselves. It was an expensive proposition. What? No, it's all the art. I'll give you an example. Here's every daf. We picked one or two of the best pieces and we put it in there. It kind of could jog your memory. Just go through it. Oh yeah, I remember that. Make it based on Merchatz. Remember that one with the this way. Sorry. Okay. Huh? And look at this, Gary. Zoom in on this thing. This is unbelievable. Do we have time for an email or two? My son Avadia We have a big problem, Avi. There's a lot of emails coming in. How do people from Chutzlars join the MDY kids? And the answer is they can't.
I think
They have to make their own.
they have to make their own satellite locations, and we can keep them on our schedule.
They have to make their own satellite, but it's
And then
7
they'll
o'clock,
No,
7:30.
they don't do the same time.
Gary.
Not the same time. The same daf. They show it when it's good for their time on their own.
But when another city wants to do MDY kids, we're going to start with the same Masechta. They're going to do another Masechta. They're going to start at a different. But they're going to start in Megillah. You're going to be holding Daf Yud, and how are they going to start? They're going to start.
They'll make up those.
My son Avadi wants to join MDY kids and possibly recruit a few friends, but we don't live near RBS. Can we learn the shir from home and we'll sign him in? Can his friends do the same? Yeshkar Gadol, Avi Berg. What's the answer?
We're getting the raffle for the prizes.
Yeah. 1 + 1 + 1 + 1. Daf l'daf mitzaref l'shas shalem. Hadaf shalom ma'achel b'richas mazel tov. And Shabsei Cohen, who's here tonight, said that that's word for word what I said when I reached 1,000. Yishkoyach. Stop the dibur and join the tzibur. It's v'aftu l'recha kamoicha. Better together, Kaddish and Chazal Shatz. Oi, boo, Chazal Shatz, boo. Smile and nod, talk to you later, show the siddur. Instead of saying shh, try, smile and nod. Talk to you later, I hear. The Rebelli, please keep Kaddish Holy Campaign, stop the Dibur and join the Tzibur. Also, the Achlus and the MDY is unbeatable. It's not about the Daf, it's about the Yomi. He has a whole song here. Yidal Ashrai, it's all about the Yomi, Yidal Ashrai. No. But as Rabbi said, this new song from Nachman Seltzer, the Beis Hashem, we're going to show it at the Miami Museum. Very, very catchy. I'm warning you. Sincerely, everybody in my house is humming it the entire Shabbos. Ezra El Yuma Daf 75. Yuma. Okay, Givaldik. Here you have a dentist in Baltimore. Dentist Dr. Rafal, leader, and Michal Folda, grandfather of Yaakov Mordechai Folda, the Shnai Mikra poster boy. This came from the front desk of Dr. Leader. Shalom Rebbe, someone in LA heard you'll be stopping by during your US trip. You have dates. Would you be up for if I'm bringing or the like? Please let me know. Your Talmud, Noam Casper. So the answer is, I am landing in Los Angeles Wednesday night. So the kids are Thursday, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th. I don't have a ticket out yet, so I might be there for a month or two. Who knows? Yeah. The Koilel is sponsored by Anonymous from Lakewood. The Koilel is also sponsored by supporting Torah to strengthen our bitachon. The Masechta is sponsored in Zgul Katoria Bank Tומכיה כיעקב ויעל. The Parnassa Chodesh, Linu Nishma Zechariah ben Moshe. The Parnassa Yoim, Fagie and George Freud on the yard side of her father, Zev ben Aharon Mordechai. Shimmy Weiss, Staten Island 41. In honor of my wife's birthday, the daughter of Pinny Taub, Staten Island 81. Keeping him in the shpacha. And the art is sponsored for complete refuah for Chaim Tzvi ben Leah, mdysim.com, mdykids.com, joindafyomi.com, Yeshur Koyach. And here we go, Manchester's on again. Wow. Who?
David Newman's house.
David Newman's house. Every single Motzi Shabbos? Here the Manchester Chevra, we're sitting right over here. Givaldik. Rabbi Sai, here we go. Daf Pei Zayin Amud Beis by the Mishnah. Brand new Mishnah on a Motzi Shabbos. And today we're learning the inyan of, if I had a button, I'd press it right now. I wouldn't ask Gary for it, but I can't get a Remy will get us a button. No, okay. Oh, I didn't like that. The Remy thing. No, let me see the thing. No. Okay, we'll wait.
Song.
It's a good thing we don't have a button. Oh. Here we go. That's the problem. If I had a button, there wouldn't be any problems, Gary. Yeah. Today's sugya is about miktsas yediyah. Till the next Mishnah. Miktsas yediyah means if a person only has partial awareness of what's going on, partial awareness. He doesn't know the whole halacha. He's not really into it. One of the Mishalm that the Gemara gives is a blind person. He's somewhat aware, but he's not 100% knowledgeable of what's going on. So says the Mishnah. And by the way, we had this Mishnah already. We're very familiar with it. Aval eini yoidea sheyesh mefirim. The Mishnah, the Heilige Mishnah, sponsored by Yoel Friedman, Lili Nishmas, my dear father, Chaim Avram, Shalom, Yeruchim, Ben Yisrael, David, Allah Shalom. No, the Heilige Mishnah. It's not the official Mishnah. Yoidea sheyesh nedarim, aval eini yoidea sheyesh mefirim. I know that there's such a thing called a neder, but I didn't learn in yeshiva, I didn't learn Masechtas Nedarim, I don't know that there's such a thing called a hafara. What's the halacha? Yofer. So there's a big chiddush over here, that the day that the person finds out that there's a hafara, that's the day that it could be mefer. In other words, he knew about his wife's neder, he knew about his daughter's neder, he knew about it for 6 years. Finally, the Daf Yomi cycle comes to Nedarim, and he finds out about this kind of hafara. Ooh, hafara! That's the day that the Biyoim Shammai starts. It says you can be mefer on the day that you hear. The day that you hear means the day that you understand the halacha completely. What if he knows the idea that there's a hafara, but he doesn't know that this is a neder? What does it mean he doesn't know that this is a neder? He's not aware that this is the type of neder that it could be made for. In other words, hafara is, if it's ini nefesh, if it's Zvarim Shebeina Leveina, he wasn't aware that it fits in one of the categories. What's the halacha? Remeir Oimer Lo Yofer. So this is also a very, very big chiddush. Today, right now, he's unaware if this is in the category. So what should he do? Should he just be mefer just in case? No. He can't be mefer just in case, because he doesn't know the halacha. He doesn't know if it's in the category. But here, the chiddush gets even bigger. What happens when he finds out that this is in the category? This is in the category. Could he be mefer that day? No. Why? Because he already heard about the neder. Well, if I already heard about the neder yesterday, so I should have been able to be mefer yesterday. No, that wasn't enough of a hearing. It was a little bit of it. So what's going on is as follows. There's a little bit of his shmiyah. He heard a little bit on Sunday. It's not enough for him to be mefer. Why? Because in order to be mefer, you have to have a complete shmiyah. But the following day, when he found out from the Rav that this is in the category, it's already too late for him to be mefer. Why? Because it's 24 hours later, or it's the next day, whatever we said at the halacha is. It's meis le'eis, or shkia, let's call it shkia, or tzeis kechav. The next day, it's already too late. But I didn't hear it. I only heard 50%. So that's a big chiddush. We're dancing on two chasanas here. On the one hand, it's not enough. On the other hand, it's enough. It's both, says Remeir. Remeir Oimer Lo Yofer. There's no way for him to be mefer. Not today because he doesn't know the halacha, and not tomorrow because it's too late. The Chacham Moim Yofer, and this is also very important. Chacham say no, he could go ahead and be mefer. When? Only on that first day. That first day, go ahead, even though you don't know the halachas, it's fine. But the following day, it's already too late, according to Chacham as well. So Nachama, we're learning a sugya of miktsas yidiyah. Miktsas yidiyah, a little bit of awareness. He knows somewhat of the halachas of Nedarim. He's not a very learned person. He doesn't know the halachas. So now that he knows this, Reb Meir says, Lo Yofer, a little bit of a yidiyah is not enough of a yidiyah. I need to know the whole halacha entirely. And Chachamim say, you don't need to know the whole thing. I could do a hafara even if I know 50%. I know most of it, a lot of it, a little bit. That's enough. Ask the Gemara contradiction. V'reminu b'loy rois. We all know this halacha. Here's a little bit of a mouse that I was in Bnei Brak when those books were out, Blind Mouse or something. We don't know these things. This is not for us. The Americanish guys, they chop what's going on there. There's something about a mouse that's blind. I don't know. It has some connection to being blind. Now, MDY sweatshirt, the whole thing. The point that, okay, nobody's going to know the sugya. There's a bunch of art. It says in the Torah that if somebody kills somebody without knowing, what is that called? The shoygig. And he goes into galus. Now, what does it mean he doesn't know? So the Torah says, B'loi rois, he threw a stone. He didn't realize that somebody's there, hit him in the head and killed him. Now, what about a blind person? A blind person can't see ever. So perhaps the Torah is telling us that a person who could see, has the ability to see, and he just didn't see now, he wasn't paying attention, he goes into Galus. But a blind person who can never see, maybe he's not in this parsha at all. So we have a machlokes. B'loi ra'os, if he didn't see, says Rabbi Yehuda prat l'suma. Now the Gemara understands the Chachamim at the end of the Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda. Because who always argues with the Rameir? It's Rameir and Rabbi Yehuda throughout Shas. So over here we see the opposite idea. We see that when you have a mixas idea, partial idea, according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's not enough. This blind guy goes scot-free. So you have a blind guy, took a stone, threw its stam in the ear, and he killed somebody. He doesn't go to Galus, according to Rabbi Yehuda. Meir Oimer, L'Rabbois is Asuma. He does go to Galus. Why? So the Ran explains, because a blind person is aware of his surroundings somewhat. How? We know, through hearing. They could hear a lot better than us. They use their senses and certain things that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave them more than we're able to do. They make up for their eyesight in a way. So they're not completely blind, like nothing, zero. They have somewhat of an idea of what's going on. They hear a little ruffling in the leaves, whatever it is. They have what's going on. So Mela says, "Remeir l'Rabbis is asuma." So here we have a problem because this is a case of mixas idea. He's not fully aware of his surroundings because he's blind, but he has a little bit of an idea of his surroundings. And Remeir is the one who says that he's chayiv in Galus. Mixas idea is enough of an idea. In our Mishnah, Remeir is the one that says that mixas idea is not a idea. Amar Rava. Says Rava Daf Peiches Amud Aleph on top. Hacha ben Yonah dekra. Vacha ben Yonah dekra. Ein chanami. We can't really prove anything one halakha to the other. Why? Because we have psukim, and we're going with the psukim. Review the savar Gabi Ritzayach Ksiv Asher Yova Yisrael Bayar. Here's a blind guy in the forest. Very nice. That's one pasuk. We also have Asher Yova Yisrael Bayar. This is the famous pasuk. I think this is more known than the other one. That a person was using an axe and he was chopping wood, and the axe part flew and hit somebody in the head and killed him. Asher Yova Yisrael Bayar. Now it says somebody went into the forest. Could a blind person enter a forest? Yeah, why not? So it's anybody that can enter a forest. Call the bar me'aliyar. Anybody that can enter a forest, including blind people. Okay, so this should tell us that a blind person, if we just read this pasuk, is chayiv b'shoigig if you kill somebody. V'yamers b'lei re'ois l'rabbis asuma minari nafkelei. B'lei re'ois, you want to tell me, comes to say that a blind person is chayiv. But wait a minute, I already have a pasuk. Yar, anybody can go into the forest. El shmamina b'lei re'ois prat l'suma. So I already know that anybody that goes into the forest is chayiv. So then why does the Torah say b'lei re'ois? To tell me that if you can't see, you're potter. That's what the pasuk is going. Not to tell me that if you can't see, you're chayiv. Tell me if you can't see, you're potter. Because if you can't see that you're chayiv, that I already know from all the Torah had to do is forest. Anybody can go take a trip in the forest is chayiv. But the Torah adds and says b'loi re'ois, he didn't see. So it means to say that it's a person that could typically see, and in this case he didn't pay attention, he's chayiv. But a person that cannot see at all, he is potter. There's a mashal, a guy was lost in the forest, and he's going around in circles for a day, and finally he finds an old man. He's got all excited. Oh, this guy probably could take me out. So the old man said, don't get excited. I can't take you out. The only thing I can tell you is where not to go. I'll tell you all the paths I tried, and they didn't work for me. That I can tell you. But more than that, I can't tell you. So the nimshal is, a lot of times we have a rebbeim. You ask them a question. Well, what is this? I don't know. Yeah, not every Rebbe knows every answer to every question. You could ask them very deep questions they don't know. But they could at least help you to avoid the bad stuff. That, yeah. Zog the Gemara. Rabbi Meir Sovar. And Rabbi Meir is going to hold that Mixis Yediyah is not a Yediyah. So if it's not a Yediyah, how come by a blind person he's chayev in Shogeg? It's a Mixis Yediyah. And you said Mixis Yediyah, Rabbi Meir holds, is not considered knowing. Because we have a special pasuk, Siv Bivli Das. One pasuk says he wasn't aware. Called the Bar Meida. V'suma la Bar Meidahu. You can't say that a summa has all the senses. He doesn't have eyesight. That's the number one thing, to know if somebody's there. The amers beloy ra'ois prat l'summa. The words beloy ra'ois, not seeing, we already said, established, comes to exclude him and say that a blind person is not chayiv. Bivli das also comes to say not chayiv. So now we have two psukim that say that a blind person is not chayiv. Bivli das nafkelei. What's going on here? Because a double negative is a positive. We have two negatives. We have bleed das and blei rois. So this blind person has two negatives on him. Two negatives equal to a riboy to a positive, and therefore a blind person is chayev. Says the Heilige Mishnah, also known by some people as the official Mishnah. Nebuch. Yo, Friedman, Lili Nishmas, my dear father, Chaim Avram Shalom Yeruchim, Bein Yisrael David Allah Shalom. This is a very sad Mishnah to me. Amadra Anoa Mechasonoi, Vuroitze Loses Lebite Mois. I think one of the biggest fights in Klal Yisrael is between a father-in-law and a son-in-law. No? You have to think about it. How many people do you know that they fight father-in-law and son-in-law? It happens. It happens very often. I actually know someone I'm very, very close to. Some of you know him here, but it's a problem. I spoke to someone. It's Lashon Hara to say it over. He never really even met his grandfather because of a fight that this father-in-law and the son-in-law had. In other words, his father and his grandfather are in a big fight. And his grandfather is a famous chashuv person. He never even met him. So it's not, and he told me it's not only the two of them. It's because a lot of times what happens is then the uncles, the aunts get into the fight. What, you're fighting with my father? I'm not going to talk to you either. So it becomes a whole family feud. Why am I saying this? For a public service announcement. A good friend of mine, Louis Colin from Chicago, he was telling me about this guy that doesn't talk to his daughter. So I told him, I want to meet him. I want to convince him. He said, "What are you, sugar? It's already 20 years. He doesn't talk to his daughter. It's over." He said, "I want to talk to him." This is years ago. I was a young schnook. So he arranged a meeting. I'm telling you, my story. You could ask him. He was sitting in the meeting. I said, it's none of my business. But it's the saddest thing I ever heard. You don't talk to your daughter. She says, "You know what she did to me and this and that and the whole thing." God's a drasha. The bottom line is, after the whole evening, we sat there for an hour and a half, back and forth fighting. I said, "What? So you're never going to see your grandchildren? You're not going to go to the bar mitzvahs, the weddings, nothing because of this fight? You should humble yourself." I gave him musar. Tuck it in. It'll take you 1 minute. You don't have to be your daughter's best friend. But at least there shouldn't be a fight so you could get to know your grandchildren. He's makabel, and he did it. It worked. Ma'aseh Shah, you could ask Louis. Huh? I don't even know who he is. This happened like 17 years ago. Ma'aseh Shah, huh? It's not about tzidkis. Why am I saying this? Because if that schnook 70 years ago did it, anybody could do it. But starting with yourself. If chas v'sholom, you're in a fight with your father-in-law or with your son-in-law, humble yourself, make yourself small, ask mechila, even though of course it's the other person's fault 100%, and you'll save your children and your grandchildren from tzaras. Everybody could do it. And if you know somebody, you could also, it's not such a bad thing to go over to somebody and say, "Hey, shape up, it'll help your life," because nobody wants to be in a fight. The shver is in tremendous tsar. The son-in-law, everybody's in tsar, it's egos. It's just egos, and doiras go by doiras. It's unbelievable. It's nervine. It's for sure not bringing Mashiach, and it's for sure HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't like it. So anyways, you have another Meshuggah. Hamadr hanami chasanoi. A person says he hates his son-in-law so much, he says, I'm never going to give the guy a dime. Never. But he has a big problem. He sees his daughter struggling and he wants to give her money, but he already made a neder. Mamish like Rebbe Kiva. Okay, that's in that generation. But we have it. Every single person in this room knows somebody in that fight. Everybody. He wasn't mad at his daughter. He was mad at his son-in-law. Huh? Yeah, Rebbe Kiva is even worse. Yeah. Fine. So a few things. First of all, everybody knows this joke, but because we're here, we have to say it over. Just in case there's a 10, 11-year-old that doesn't know it, and we'll get there eventually. So we have to say it's a chiyuv to say these jokes, and what's the Shabbos especially. A father-in-law went over to his future son-in-law and said, you're a great guy and everything, but how are you going to support yourself? He says, Hashem will help. You might have the joke. I can't stay. What? So, but who's going to buy you an apartment? Hashem is going to help me. And then he goes back to the future mother-in-law, the shviger. We call him the shviger. And he says, I love this guy. This guy's a great guy. He thinks I'm God. So no, I love this guy. Fine. By the way, there's an organization here in Israel. If you didn't know about this, it's a Peldiga thing. They will get you a shidduch, a guy that doesn't demand $1 million shekel like every other guy in yeshiva. The max, I'm serious, they have a max. He could demand 180,000 shekel. I'm serious, which is it's not a lot compared to what the other guys are. On condition, they'll do it. They'll set you up with such a shidduch that you don't demand for your son more than 180,000. Like if you have a daughter, you're looking for a guy that won't demand 185. Because if these guys make 1,000 shekel a month, most of them, a koil guy. So for 1,000 shekel a month, how in the world could he afford $1 million chasana? It's 1,000 months. Impossible. So anyway, is it 1,000 months? I don't know. Panovich. Zok the Gemara. Says the Mishnah. But he wants to do a little trick. What is he going to do? So now he has to make two stipulations. He has to say two things in order for this thing to work. Number one, he gives his daughter money and he says, on condition your husband, that terrible, rotten, disgusting person, I told you shouldn't marry him, the whole thing. I'm giving you money on condition that you don't give anything to your husband. That's number one. That's not enough. Because we're holding, the Gemara is going to explain, like Remeir who holds, so it's also, not also, yeah, it's also in this case. I can't give anything to my daughter because as soon as I give something to my daughter, give her cash, it immediately becomes her husband's. So what do I do? First of all, I say, your husband has no reshus on this money. So it's unbelievable. It's dafka food that goes into your mouth. Fine. Now, this is if he gives her money. If he gives her food, you don't have to do this whole thing. Why? Because food, a wife could keep it away from her husband. And the Ram brings a raya, a beautiful raya. He says that even if a husband gives his wife money, he gives her an allowance. Says, here's $100 a week to buy groceries. And she goes around and she finds the cheaper stores and she only spent $80. She's permitted, it's mutter for her to keep the $20. She could be mitzamtzim, says the Ram. She could keep the money for herself and buy something and do whatever she wants with the money. So in Mela, when it comes to mizaynas, it's hers. So in money, she has to make sure, the husband, the father has to make sure the husband never puts his hand on the money. Second of all, it goes dafka in her mouth. What about if she wants to buy a blanket with it? Not something that goes in her mouth, something that covers her. Not good. Only something that goes into the mouth. No jewelry, nothing. let me think if I should say this here. It says bepich, in your mouth. Yeah, and the Ran explains that it's the moment that it goes into her mouth, then it becomes hers, and at that time it's already too late for the husband to be kind. Omarav. So just to be ma'ir, the tzibur over here, we don't have a machlokes here, what the Mishnah is talking about. It's very simple that the Mishnah is saying that you have to have 2 tanaim in this thing. But the Gemara brings a machlokes Rav and Shmuel. Amar Rav Lishanu Allah, the Amar Law, Mashad noises when it says bepich. You have to say it goes into your mouth. If you don't say those words, it must go into, literally, physically go into your mouth and eat it, then, and you just say, you can do whatever you want with it. It's not good enough. Why? Because then the husband is going to be kainet, and he can't be kainet. Why? Because the shver made a neder here, that he can't have any ana. So that's our Mishnah, right? No, you don't have to say you have to eat it. You can do anything you want with this money as long as your husband can't get to it. It's good enough. So what's going on here? Is Shmuel arguing on the Mishnah? What's Shmuel doing here? No. Shmuel is saying, I don't paskin like the Mishnah. The Mishnah obviously is saying one halacha. This is mafurish in the Mishnah. Ella, the last words in the Mishnah. Ella mashat noisis when he says bepich. It has to go into your mouth. Says Shmuel, but you should know, we don't paskin like that. I argue on Rav. Rav says the halacha is like our Mishnah. And Shmuel says the halacha is, you don't have to say it in your mouth. Whatever you want, you can do with it as long as he makes the first stipulation. What's the first stipulation? That the husband can't touch it. Mascular Zero, Daf Amud Beis. Kimana Azlo, Shmaitzah the Rav. So then, who is Rav going according to? Rav Meir. Rav Meir who says, all that I'll get there, Yosef. Don't worry about it.
I was waiting. I was going to say.
I know. And that's why I said it's not. Kimana Azlo, the Shma. What does Rav Meir say? Rav Meir says, Mashikono Eved Kono Rabbi. Yeah, it's the same idea. Whatever a slave acquires, immediately, as soon as he makes a kinyan on something, it goes directly to the master. The same idea and concept we have by a woman and a husband. With Mashikono Isha, Kono Bala. Dobar Yad Isha, Kiyad Bailo. Daf Amud Beis sponsored by Keiakb Haber for Beracha, Parnassa, Hatzlacha for his entire family and everyone learning the Daf, and Latzlacha for the members of the HBA Group and their families. Amen. V'reminu. So the Gemara has a kasha. Keitzad mishtatvim b'mavui. Oh, Gevaldik, Eruvin. I'll never forget, Eli Dykman said it to me a number of times. Be'ezer Hashem, if you haven't learned Eruvin, it has a very bad rap. Everybody thinks we learn brachas, it's gishmak, Shabbos, it's difficult. Eruvin, oh, forget it. That's when everybody drops off. Not true. We had a lot of fun in Eruvin, and Eli Dykman said it was one of his favorite masechtas because of all the pictures that we had. But anyway, this is what Eruvin looks like. I just added a couple things here tonight for tonight's thing, but this I took it straight out of the Kol Al-Shon made a beautiful publication, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on this thing. But anyway, what you see here is as follows. You see on the bottom, the streets like we have today, that's the Rosh Hashanah. Then you have a bunch of houses. In those days, the houses used to have a chutzner in the front, not so much in the back. They could have in the back, but a chutzner means in the front yard. And those chatzeros used to dump off into a mavoi, what today we'll call it an alley. So what halacha does the mavoi have? The one in the center. What does that have? This particular mavoi goes from street to street, from top to bottom, so it's called the mavoi mefulish. There's a little lechi you see on the bottom right. There's this, and I took away the kaira. Okay, fine. It's not important to today. This mavoi is, you should be able to carry in it. The issue is that it's an issa d'oraisa to carry from a Rosh Hashanah into Rosh Hashanah, right? Shabbos 101. Can't carry from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah. So Chacham made a gzeira because look at this mavoi. It just goes right into the Rosh Hashanah. So they said, you know what? Don't carry over there. You're going to come and you're going to carry by mistake from the mavoi into the Rosh Hashanah. People are going to forget. The ball is going to go flying from. They're going to play soccer. They're going to go here. Don't carry there unless you make an eruv. It's called the shituf mavais. And one of the things they put a lechi for a heker, we're not talking about that. We're talking about everybody in the chutzner becomes partners, and they become partner to the mavui. And once you become a partner, it's like an eruv, a typical eruv where you're all part of this thing. So it says like this: how do you do this? How do you become a partner in a mavui? We're familiar with the whole eruv thing, eruv chatzeros, same kind of idea. Meniach es achaves, you take a wine barrel. Yeah, they used to do it with wine. And now this guy's going to be a nice guy. Yeah, he has 20 neighbors. He's going to start knocking at everybody's door. It's a pain in the neck. So he does it. He's mezakeh the rabbim. Zachan ladam shalei befanov. I could do it for somebody else. I know that he wants it. It's good for him. So I'm going to do it for him. What do? I take a barrel of wine. It's not a cheap proposition. It's not a bulka with a neg. This is chavas yayin. You don't have to, but that's how he did it. I am donating my barrel of wine as if each person in the mavoi in this whole neighborhood owns a little bit of the wine. And who's kind of? If this is mine, and I want to give it to you, and you're not here, what do? I can't just put it down over here. I need somebody to be zoicha from me. So I give it to my son, I give it to my slave, my Eved Ivri, not my slave, my Eved Ivri. I could give it to my wife. So what does that tell me? That I'm allowed to give something to my wife, and I don't acquire it back from her. Once I give it to her, it's hers. So what are you telling me? Yeah? What are you telling me that's a problem? My wife could take a barrel of wine from me, and it doesn't come flying right back to me, halachically. You told me, Mashikana Isha, Kana Baila. As soon as it goes into the woman's hand, it goes right back to the husband. Not true. Here you have a case where the husband gave something to the wife, and she's zoicha for everybody else. No, so what's the obvious answer to that? What would you say? No, Avi. I see you have a good answer. No, what is it? No. What? No, something better. No, something better.
You want to should be zoicha.
Oh, very good. You know what David says? You want from Bruchas Daf Beis. That's what happens when you learn all over in Brachas. You start becoming a lamdan. So that's basically what Rava says here. V'amris, but let's first ask the kasha. V'amris kani yosim bala. And if the pshat is that the husband acquires and it's kaina everything that the woman is kaina, everything nothing mishus the baal, then it comes out that the barrel of wine never left the husband's hands, because as soon as he gave it to her, he's kaina it again. It's a nice trick. Amarava, no. This is what David was saying. You're right. Typically, if a woman walks in the street, she finds a diamond, it goes straight to the husband. But over here, the he wants the other people to be zoicha. In other words, the husband has the right to give his wife a gift. If he gives his wife flowers for Shabbos, it comes right back to him? No. It goes to the wife. He buys her jewelry, it goes to the wife. She has the right to be zoich if he said. So here also, he says, Mufurish, I want you to be kainet. Be zoich with other people. So that she does have the right. It's a famous story, but it actually it happened a few times in our generation, but it happened in the time of Rabbi Chanan, where two teenagers were, I don't know, the guy took a ring, and he says, Arei Mekudesh Li. And it turns out that it was her ring. She took the ring, she threw it. It was in front of Eidim. It was a big problem. What do? She was crying. She didn't want it. So they asked her, what happened? She said, I gave him the ring I never gave him the ring. I told him to hold it. He said, no. She gave me the ring, so I should be zoich in the ring, so I could be mekadesh her. I have big problems. She eishes, not eishes. So some wanted to taina that it wasn't even her ring. Why? Because who gave her the ring? Her father. But the father is kind of everything that a katan is kind of. But Rabbi Yitzchak Chanan proves from this Gemara over here, it's not true. That when you give a gift to your katan, you buy him a bike, you're giving it to him sometimes. Now, I don't know. You have to know, I'm not passing it here. But sometimes you give your wife a gift. Most of the time you give it to her and you give it to her. It's hers. She has the right to give it away to somebody else, to sell it. You see from this Gemara. Typically, you would say, "Kol mashakana yishakana baila," and what a cotton acquires is also the father's. But not when you give a gift. Gift is different. So that wasn't the way out of it. They had other ways. Eisvei Ravina Ravashi. Right? Because once the ring, and the problem over there in that story is that once the boy had the ring, now he has a chazak on it. She can't say what happened, how he got the ring. It's in his hand. What's in his hand? We don't trust her what happened. Now we trust him. It's his. He's showing bias and he gave it to her. That was the big problem. Okay. Eisvei Ravina Ravashi. However, Ravina doesn't like Reb Duvid's pshat. Why? This is how you could do a shit of mavais. We're going back to shit of mavais. How could you be zoicha in a barrel of wine? They have to be older children, g'daylim, Jewish, eved and shivcha. Now I have another category. Those who it doesn't work. I can't give a barrel of wine for all my neighbors. Guess who's in that category? Now, this is a contradiction. This is a big contradiction. We have a stira between the Bryce and the Mishnah. The Mishnah says a woman is good. The Bryce says a woman can't do it. But the problem is, says Ravina to Ravashi, if Rav is right, then we could sort of fa'enfer the stira. There's a way out of this. Oh, fa'enfer. You can answer. Eitan G told me I use too much Yiddish, too much Yiddish terms. Panovich. No, that's Hebrew. Okay, fine. No, I'm trying to educate a little bit. This English. Fine. Once in a while, we stick in a yeshiva shul. I'm going easy on you guys. There's words that I never use the word chalois ever. No, I just mentioned it once in the round that he brings it. There's other words that could really mess you up. These are easy. When I was a Voch, I don't know if it still exists. There was a book. It was a dictionary for yeshiva words. It's fast. The same book is there. Fast, and you know what fast means? Nobody knows what it means. It's a word. From speak. That's right. From speak. That was it. Still out there. Did they have another edition with the 9 words? Huh?
MD1 edition.
Okay. Another project. So you hear the Shiloh, if Rav is right, they can make such a nafkimiyah. If the husband wants the woman to be zoicha, she's zoicha. And if he doesn't want, he just gave it to her, not. So you can make some sort of answer here between the Mishnah and the Brisa, and we don't have that answer. Elo Amar Ravashi. So you see this Mavi over here? She owns one of those houses. She's a balabas. And so what? Now we have the famous concept of migui. Since the migui, the zachil and afshah, she is a full-fledged owner. And she is zoicha for herself. She took part of the wine for herself. And because she could do a zechia for herself, zachila achrina, she has the right also. Once it's like a sometimes you do a shvu on something, because it is shvu, you can do more shvuas. I took some wine, I'm allowed to acquire that wine, great. Now I want to acquire it for my friends and my neighbors. Similar to Misechtes Nazir. What I mean? If you have the right to take a free Gemara from MDY, you have the right to give another person a free Gemara. That's how it works. So, Rabbis, don't forget, we're starting Nazir very soon. Bring your friends. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you tomorrow at 7:15. Beis Hashem. Welcome to all the guests. Shkoya.
Have a wonderful week.